Welcome back to Melbourne Property TV. On tonight's panel, we're discussing home design. What are the latest trends? What's hot? What's not? From Archicentre, David Hallett.
Des.
Welcome, David. From the REIV, Robert Larocca, and local architect Ingrid Mountford. Now, David, trends in design. What are you noticing?
Well, we've seen huge changes in the way homes are designed over the last decade or two, really fuelled by lifestyle changes. We're living a much more casual lifestyle these days, and the homes we're designing typically are reflecting that.
And one of the most overused phrases, bringing the outdoors in.
Yes, well, it's very popular. It's very popular. That whole open plan, kitchen, meals, living space, opening out to an outdoor living area is very much what homeowners want. It's very much what home buyers want.
Have we seen a contraction since the GFC in size that people are building? Because the McMansions were all the rage sort of the last 5 years.
Look, they still are. People still want as much house as they can get for their dollar, of course, but budgets are perhaps a little more modest. But on the upside, construction costs are probably easing a little bit too, so you can get a little more for your dollar these days.
All right. Ingrid, what's the demand from clients? Are home theatres still all the rage? Because everyone had to have one of those at one stage.
Yeah, look, that's right, Des. They are still really popular. I think that idea of making the home really a sanctuary where you can do all sorts of activities without leaving your property is still a really popular idea. And following on from what David was saying, we're seeing the same trend in an increasing desire for an outdoor area that really is really an outdoor room. And that's been a popular thing for a few years, but we're finding it increasing actually, and the need for wanting it to be really popular and usable all year round. So things like built-in fireplaces, built-in pizza ovens, built-in kitchens, so it really is an outdoor living space rather than just perhaps a terrace or a deck. So that's certainly on the way up.
And is this across the board for standard homes, or is it? I mean, it's not just for wealthy suburbs. People everywhere want this standard of living, don't they?
Look, I think so, and I think it's certainly something that is really quite achievable, either on a small scale or a much larger, grander scale, certainly. But I think it's really across the board that people are wanting to be able to have that outdoor living all year round. Melbourne's perhaps interstate. People think we don't have a great climate, but we do have a terrific climate, and you can just really design to make the most of that. So we're seeing that definitely on the rise. And
other than home theatres and outdoor living, anything else that's catching your eye? Is it something a bit new?
Yeah, look, a couple of things. One thing we are noticing is an increasing desire for accommodation that's multi-generational. Now, that might have been in the past perhaps accommodation mainly for an ageing parent or senior relative, but it's also a growing request for adult kids who aren't leaving home.
For an ageing child.
Well, exactly. That's exactly right. So, and often that's being the desire for that is to have it really an integral part of the home that can be either separated in some way, but also opened up to be a really lovely multi-generational way of living. So that's on the rise.
And there's also the granny flat type scenario too, isn't there?
Yeah, look, that's right. That's still sometimes asked for, and to be a little bit more independent, separate, but where people can join in where they want to, and that's certainly becoming more popular.
Robert, from the REIV's perspective, what are buyers demanding nowadays, I guess, for their bang for their buck?
It's exactly what David was pointing to before, openness, flexibility and openness in a property. And you can see it if you go on a weekend and go and look at a bunch of houses, look at old unrenovated ones and look at new renovated ones, particularly in the middle ring of suburbs, and you'll see a distinct trend. The old ones have got small rooms, doors, walls, all the way through the property. The new ones, or actually the renovated ones, they've stripped out the walls. Everything is joined up, the kitchen to the living area to the outdoor area, into a seamless family space. And, that is the thing that you see in the renovations at the moment.
And that's a very interesting point. A lot of our architects are reporting that they are re-renovating homes. A lot of the renovations that were done, let's say the 80s, even the 90s, which is not that long ago, were designed exactly as Robert said. They were much more traditional, if you like, in terms of interconnected rooms and passageways. But that's not what people want now. They want to bowl all those walls over and open up the whole house. So quite often an older home, even when it's renovated, will be big enough, it's just not well organised.
You can just stand there at an open and you see it every time, is, the couple standing there and the arms begin to wave around about, we'll knock out that wall and push that one back, and then all of a sudden we've got the big space that we really want.
Yeah. Now, and trends for the future, David, where do you see it heading?
Well, the other one we're seeing at the moment, of course, is the home office. More and more people are working from home and having that line between home and work more blurred than it's ever been before. So people are demanding somewhere to not just work, but access internet, access computer, organise their shopping and their air travel and their movie tickets and all of those things that we can do online these days. People want somewhere to be able to do all of that and perhaps do a bit of work as well. And sometimes that will be a whole separate room. Other times it will just be a space and a bench on a landing of a staircase or at the end of a kitchen bench or something like that. All of these things we're seeing as a new element of a home that didn't used to exist.
And baby boomers, obviously, a lot talked about them. They're coming to retirement age. So we're probably seeing a fair bit of demand for a smaller, more compact sort of form of living?
Look, we can be, but as Ingrid said, there's a strange thing happening. A lot of older kids aren't leaving a home as early as they used to anymore, and they're staying there well into their 20s and even into their 30s sometimes. So you end up designing buildings for not so much a traditional family. You're designing it for maybe 4 adults, no children, which is suitable, again, as Ingrid said, for older children or for ageing relatives.
What about from technology point of view, Ingrid? Like as far, I mean, we see things, C-bus wiring and all. I don't even know what that is. C-bus wiring? No idea.
Yeah, well, look, that is becoming more common, and again, across, either in a small scale or in a significant scale, where really the whole home can be automated to perform almost as a machine and be programmed to wake up at a certain time and go to bed at a certain time virtually. And I think the range of that, also as David was saying, with working from home, even partially working from home, we just sort of expect a greater connectivity in our house, and that's becoming definitely the norm. And expected, I think, in probably most family houses, but as you said, with people getting older and kids staying at home longer, we expect to be able to keep that happening. So that's certainly becoming a more expected sort of feature.
What about from energy efficiency? Is that another thing that's just demanded, or I guess just a standard, I suppose, to a certain level?
I think it is, Des, now. It's certainly gone well away from the kind of greeny viewpoint that used to be an alternative kind of way of living. It's absolutely mainstream now and absolutely expected. And I think I'm finding too, people, whereas in the past they may have wanted an area where they could hide away the water tank and not really see it, or hide away these features that they weren't really prominent. People now are really quite proud of the fact that we're embracing that, and you want to show off your tank and have it a prominent and really quite an interesting feature of your landscaping. So that's definitely a change, I think, in perception of those items, and becoming much more expected. Double glazing, more economical forms of heating and cooling, and integral to the home rather than add-ons is certainly something that we're being asked for.
What is our standard energy rating at the moment?
6-star. Any new home or renovation has to meet the minimum 6-star standard as of, I think, May last year. So that's raised the bar, and there are some challenges in that for some designs on some allotments.
And Robert, when it comes to trends in design and things like that, apartments and units, what are we seeing?
Given the growth in units and apartments, they're obviously setting some trends there. One of the interesting things, and you can see it in the marketing, is those pitched at singles, having a lot of communal space. So you'll look at that apartment block and it'll come with a library or a mini theatre that you can share, or a bar or something like that as well, and also outdoor communal space. So small 1-bedroom flat, 2-bedroom flat, but you trade off and get communal space in that as well now.
All right. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Ingrid.
Thanks, Des.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, David.
Thanks, Des.
More of Melbourne Property TV in a moment.